What's up, guys? Just apparently we're live. How's everybody doing? We're back, guys. We're about to jump into Organized Confusion versus Carbon EU, game number 1. We saw fantastic gameplay out of Oxygen NA versus Rat Pack. Oxygen NA does take the victory 2-0. They are moving on.
Shwam!
Shane, Organized
Hello.
Confusion. We saw them yesterday.
I'm so excited to cast them again.
I'm very excited. We saw some really interesting plays. Do you think we're going to see a Muriel or a Countess Kalari pick again later in the day? Do you think they go with that right out the bat?
They were.
Look how wacky we are.
The Pee Wee Herman of Paragon.
Yeah.
They were this close to taking a game off of Oxygen North America, who we just saw is pretty good.
They're all right.
Carbon EU, I think, is equally as good as Carbon NA, to be perfectly honest. I think I'm saying if they see the opportunity, there's a draft that they can exploit with it, I think they should do it. Learn from what happened yesterday. Carbon EU isn't the one who faced this. It was Oxygen North America. So Carbon EU, they may have watched it. They may have gone back and watched the VOD as any responsible team would have done. But they didn't actually play against it. So they still can catch them off guard with it. I hope we get to see it just because it was very exciting to cast. At the same time, Organized Confusion might just go with a more standard sort of draft, play it out as we would expect. And even then, with how they played, I think they may be able to take a game off of Carbon EU, but I still think Carbon EU are the favorites going into this, Josh.
I want to see their Steel, Muriel, Decker combo. Proficiency, Cheeto, and Hurricane combo that they had the other day was really strong. Yeah. So hopefully that's actually what I want to see. The way they comboed that in the early to mid game was super impressive. So I'm hoping that's what we see. But Carbon EU, man, you've got Blood Mortius, who is just an insane jungler. He loves Grux. We don't see a ton of Grux, but he plays Grux so well. He also plays Seraph in the jungle. So they've got a Yoan Mikey, one of the best mid laners / caster players in the game right now, and Undead Pilot, a very skilled Marauder player. So both of these teams, I mean, Carbon EU has the experience. They've played together for a very long time. They have a very strong lineup. But Organized Confession, newer team, we haven't seen a lot of, came in, they've performed really well in this event. So I'm excited to see how this draft plays out, and of course how the first game plays out as well.
Absolutely. Speaking of the draft, let's just get right into it. Joshua.
Yeah. Okay.
Ban. Look at this! Look at this, Notch. Do you see this right now? That is a Countess ban. That is a Countess ban from Carbon EU. Carbon EU saw that game yesterday and was like, we don't even want to deal with it. You're going to have to play standard Organized Confusion. Your name lives up to itself because that's what you like to do to your opponents, is make them go, what the hell is going on right now? Carbon EU respecting the Countess, taking it out. Do you expect to see standard draft from here on out, or are we going to see something even crazier than what we saw yesterday, Notch?
I'm expecting a Kalari ban. I don't know. I'm so confused.
And a Greystone ban coming out from Organized Confusion. Greystone, man, despite the fact that he was nerfed, we've seen him sparingly, but he's actually been banned a number amount of times as well. So teams still don't want to deal with that nuisance of Greystone in the off lane. First pick from Carbon EU is going to be Decker. Steel Rampage is... They can get Steel Rampage right here, and Steel Rampage, man.
Why would you not?
That's so strong. Yeah, I was going to say, if they don't pick Steel Rampage, they're out of the minds. That's exactly what they're going to get. Crowd control for days here, man. With that being said, Seraph is so good. A good Seraph, and we saw Blood Mortius, a good Seraph can deal with these crowd control heavy comps because of the nature of her kit. I wonder if we're going to see that jungle Seraph coming out here from Carbon EU, specifically Blood Mortius.
Shane, they banned Countess. I'm still confused about that. No, I mean, do we see that pick? Do we see a jungle Seraph, or do we go with more of a traditional front line? Because
I think they should.
But they just took the front line. I think you
Sevarog's
have to go
still
Sevarog.
on the field.
Sevarog's still on the field. I feel like you have to go Sevarog.
You're right. That's true. They do need... Seraph can't be the front line. That is correct. Sevarog's on the field, but it's a matter of how do you fit him into your draft right now. Either offlane Seraph and put him in the jungle, or offlane Sevarog. Offlane Sevarog's not bad. We've seen it before. It's not unheard of, and it's going to be Sevarog Howitzer. So they are going to pick up that Sevarog. I'm still asking myself if this is going to be a jungle Sevarog, or if they're going to put priority onto that Seraph, or are they going to do an offlane Seraph? I mean, they could do a carry Seraph at this point. We haven't seen it. I know that teams have experimented with it with varying amounts of success, but there's the potential of that happening as well. But Howitzer, that's pretty straightforward. They have Howitzer, they have Decker. Containment Fence, Make It Rain, devastating as we saw, as we have seen, dating all the way back to Chorus Rising #1.
Yeah, it's such a insane combo if it could be landed properly. But this leaves Muriel and Gadget available. Confusion. Steel, Rampage, Muriel, Gadget, Hello, CC, Tesla Dome, Damage, Stuns, Life, Dead. The things.
What an eloquent statement. They have the things and they do it and they win.
Is that not how you play this game?
Muriel and Murdoch coming out here. This draft from Organized Confusion
nasty.
Looks so good. Though, Carbon EU's draft, equally as strong at this point in time. Really only the mid laner left over here for Organized Confusion to I almost said Organized Carbon. Organized Confusion to pick up there. I'd imagine it's either going to be a Gideon or a Gadget. Bellica would be an off pick. There's the potential for that, picking up a Bellica here, because she provides so much zone control. But even then, I don't necessarily know if she fits into the draft of Organized Confusion, and also if this is a game where she will succeed. She's a situational pick, and I don't think this situation, this is not a situation for Bellica here. I'd imagine we're going to see fairly standard.
Yeah, I think I'm expecting Kwong because Greystone's gone, so a Kwong and Twin Blast pick for Carbon EU, and Shane.
What's up?
Just looking at the draft right now, just looking at what we see on the screen right now.
It is Gadget. Okay, that's what I expected. I was hoping for a Bellica.
A Gadget
I was so hoping for Bellica. I love Bellica. I understand she's situational though. This is not a situation we're going to see her picked up though. Not at all.
No,
not at all.
We saw this combo. I was going to say we saw this combo the other day with Muriel, Steel, Gadget that worked so well. I'm expecting to see that again. Of course, the Kwong / Twin Blast pick, very strong pick, but looking at the drafts, I have to give this to Organized Confusion. If they're able to combo the way they did yesterday, better lockdown, they have better engage, they have great peel for Survivor, they've got a ton of damage coming out of Hurricane. Just purely looking at the draft, I'm saying Organized Confusion takes this game.
We're gonna have to see. Loading in the for. I'm loading into the game, and all of a sudden I saw the Kalari model pop up. I was like, but then I quickly realized that wasn't the case right there. Guys, before we jump into the second semifinals to determine who is going to face up against Carbon NA, formerly known as Clint Eastwood, in the finals, make sure you check out that match arena, guys. Thank you for your support that you've done thus far, as well as again our official Twitter account. Keep up to date with all things Paragon Competitive League, as we are currently working on unreleased additional layers of content other than just our event, and that will be featured on Twitter as well as our YouTube as well. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to see all future and past content. So, Notch,
yeah,
Rampage
buddy.
and Steel. We know the strength of Rampage and Steel. It goes without saying at this point. How do you play around Rampage Steel initiation and crowd control?
Purity sensor. You have to pick up Purity sensor.
Until level 13, when Rampage has a 40-second cooldown ult, and Steel has, I think it's about 40 seconds-ish
right.
cooldown ult as well, and that effectively means your Purity sensor can cleanse that every 2 team fights. So
it's all about positioning.
Purity sensor is one tool to deal with it, but it's not an answer.
Right. Purity sensor stasis gem, there's ways to deal with it, but I think it comes down to proper positioning, making sure you're not clumped up, making sure you don't take a fight in one of the pathways through the jungle, because those are close, confined quarters, and you allow him to land that on 2 or 3 people. So it's going to come down to builds, but it's also going to come down to positioning and which target they're isolating and taking out really quickly. But you take out Nebos, and then you have Cheeto with the Shield Slam or Proficiency, which has another stun. There's so much stun on the side of Organized Confusion. I don't see how Carbon is going to deal with this, but Carbon EU is such a good team. I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this game underway in a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First game of the best of 3 series of the second finals of Paragon Competitive League number 3. Thank you for your overwhelming support, your generous support of our events coming up on a year. And we're going to try to do something special here for the 1-year event coming up this April, looming on the horizon. But that's for the future. Let's pay attention to the present right now. On blue is going to be Carbon EU, Shadon on Decker, Rustress on Kwong, Undead Pilot picking up the Twin Blast, Yo Mikey on Howitzer, and Blood Mortius on Severog.
On the side of Organized Confusion, we've got Proficiency on Muriel, Nebos on Rampage, Hurricane on Gadget. It's a Cheeto, is what I've been told, by the way, not a keto.
Okay.
A Cheeto on Steel, and Survivor on Murdoch.
With a period at the end.
Survivor and
making a statement. End of discussion.
End of
period.
discussion. Survivor.
Done.
Survived.
Argument over. Debate won. No more witty retorts from you. I'm Survivor. I'm a Murdoch. I have a pretty good ultimate. So, taking a look at the mid lane, it looks like, oh my gosh, the mid lane is going to be 2 mid laners. Notch, look at this. Is this Paragon even more? What is this? This is crazy. Oh my lord. So, Gadget versus Howitzer, a matchup we see up all the time. I would say it's pretty much a wash. As long as they both respect each other, they should be okay. But it all comes down to having that map awareness and that situational awareness of where the junglers are and the rotation. So, pick-off potential between these two isn't much. A little bit of harassment will go a long way to setting up kills for your teammates. Otherwise, over to the off lane here for Rustress, Survivor versus a Cheeto. And I mean, this is a fairly straightforward as well. The lanes are straightforward, Mach. We did it.
We've done it. We beat Paragon. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you
Paragon
next time.
2 to be released sometime in 2040.
2040. We'll probably get a new map by then.
Maybe rings will come out.
And balance changes. The one thing we haven't talked about is Proficiency is playing in the off lane. So we've got another off lane Muriel. Are we going to see Proficiency go with a six Adamant Edge build? Or are we going to see more of a traditional support build coming out of this particular hero? One thing I want to point out, Shane, that I think we missed in the beginning. Survivor actually came down and he picked up the minion wave, the enemy minion wave as it was coming out of the safety of its tower, and he actually walked it over to the waterfall here to allow his minions to push basically to the front steps of this tower and allow them to apply a ton of pressure.
Yes.
2 minutes into this game. It's at 50% health, 60% health, but we don't see it often in solo play. It's something we see a lot in
wave.
In group play is the way you manage these waves and
yeah, wave manipulation and wave management. Wave management is something that is just now starting to be exploited inside of Paragon. There's a couple different things you can do. There is what we just witnessed right there, applying pressure. But there's also the converse to that, where you can aggro the lane before it meets up with yours when you're a safe laner, and you aggro the off lane right as it leaves the perimeter of this tier 1 tower, and you pull it a little bit to the side, and essentially that helps freeze the lane. It has to do with the range minions auto-attacking one before the other. I don't know exactly what causes it to work, but I know it works. Maybe we can talk to one of the more technical players. I know Prime is in chat right now. Maybe he can lay down the law for us. But yeah, wave manipulation is something we're finally starting to see come into play here, and I love it. I think it's just another mechanic, another nuance for these players to divide themselves strategically and try to build themselves up an advantage.
So Nepo's coming out of the jungle with a boulder queued up and ready to go. There's going to be a bull rush into Rustress. Rustress, not a ton of damage coming out right now, so he's going to back up. Blood Mortius at about half health coming over to save his buddy. Don't worry, friend. I'll protect you. They are going to back off, not pick up that kill there. But Proficiency over here. This is such a hard lane for a Muriel early game. He doesn't have the damage. He's going to be able to get bullied by Undead Pilot and Shadon there. If he lands a stasis bomb, a buckshot, they can deal quite a bit of damage to Muriel, who's not the tankiest of heroes, who doesn't have the most health and resistance early game. So I expect this tower to fall pretty quickly, and I then expect a rotation off. Possibly see them go to the mid lane, possibly see them try and help Rustress and defend this tier 1 tower for a little bit longer.
Muriel may not be tanky, but she certainly can be elusive. No doubt about that.
Yes.
With the speed boost that is granted to her by her alacrity. True story, I played Muriel for the very first time yesterday. 100% win rate on Muriel currently. Just pointing out, I may be the best Muriel in North America and only played her once. Nebos is going to be rotating here. This is going to be a very early tier 1 tower, as you talked about, Notch. Big priority. Mid lane, though, who cares about towers? First blood is going to occur. Looks like that was just a patented Blood Mortius rotate on Sevarog. Landed a subjugate, and there's more than likely a stasis bomb as well. Pretty straightforward first blood right there. And the tower goes down too. So essentially, that was a tower for a for first blood. And the grand scheme of things, getting that tower is more important.
I'm just wondering where these guys are going to end up with. This tier 1 tower is going to fall. Looks like they're heading to mid lane, but Undead Pilot is pushing this tower very hard. Do we see steal? It looks like that's where they're heading to mid lane right now to protect this tower, but where does Cheeto and Survivor end up when the rotation is done here? Continue to allow Proficiency that farm, or are they going to take the mid lane? With Gadget rotating to the off lane, it looks like they're actually going to take and apply pressure on Yoan Mikey. So, Shane, mid lane gameplay, we've seen this quite a bit, where the offlaners, your safe laners, your steal, your support, and your marauder rotate to the mid lane. They apply a lot of pressure. We've seen teams start that way. We've seen them rotate this way. They're going to apply a lot of pressure to Yoan Mikey. They're not really going to keep him under farmed. He's at level 5. He's under farmed.
Are you from Boston all of a sudden? Are you from Boston? What happened to your R's, man? They seem to go missing.
I lost it. They're not going to keep him under farmed, but what they're going to do is keep him from rotating and being a presence on the map for the next few minutes. Make sure he's not able to rotate to the off lanes and pick up any kills.
Undead Pilot likes last sitting, and that's going to continue to be the case here. So Proficiency, yeah, this is the off lane Muriel is becoming this is the third team we've seen run Muriel in the off lane position, and they are really eating it up right now, Notch. They are truly eating it up. Nebos is here to defend the tower. 7 minutes in, Nebos isn't quite level 5, but guess who is? Proficiency. Looking for a potential engagement because Survivor was under some duress there from Yoan Mikey. Couple auto attacks and an R2000 rocket to the face. We'll do that to you. You'll find yourself wounded, bleeding, and having to get the hell out of a battle very quickly. Almost goes down again. 30 HP. Yoan Mikey from half court almost able to get a kill right there. Still, even when you don't get a kill, guys, you're still able to force them out of a lane. That's still time lost, especially when your carry's uptime is better than that. It still grants you not as big, but still grants you an economical advantage.
It does provide you that economical advantage that for a carry you want to see that as we wrote the game. Making sure they're farming effectively, make sure they have that card power they need, so they're a presence in team fights and not just a target, someone that's being picked off early and not really applying much pressure. Hurricane here, level 5. He's doing a great job of defending the lane. While we have a second, let's take a look at these early game builds. We're going to see pretty common build for Survivor here on Murdoch. He goes into the Madstone gems, but one thing Undead Pilot does is he goes into 6-cost micro nukes, and he builds about 4 or 5 of those. Where he puts 2 minor wounds or 2 minor strikes and a minor wound in those to give him 8 per. I think he stops at about 32 crit chance.
Yeah, 4 of them. He
builds 4 of them.
Yeah, he builds them all the exact same way. 1 with a minor wound. I'm sorry, 1 minor wound and 2 minor powers. 4 of them. 8 times 4 is 32. Welcome to basic arithmetic class, ladies and gentlemen. But I actually am a big fan of that build. It gives you the ability. I think it grants you about the same amount of power as the Madstone gem variant does. And you basically give up attack speed for critting a third of the time. I'm losing my R, or you're losing your R's, and I'm using mine as well, apparently. Undead Pilot, though, a boulder to the face is not something you want to be meted by when you're going back to your tower. Nebos pops the ultimate into the enraged form, and once again, they pick up an important kill. Nebos cleaning up Undead Pilot's Twin Blast.
So, someone asked in chat why the Hunter's drinks.
Because.
The reason you use because, end of discussion. It's because he put it on his deck. There's nothing you can do about it. Hunter's drink scales better than a health pot. After level 5, you actually gain more health than you would from a health pot. That's why we see Hunter's drinks. And also, sometimes we see the Shaman's drink as well, which restores mana. And after level 5, it just gives you more than a traditional health pot and or a mana pot.
Blood Mortius, display of patience, has been sitting up on this high ground outside of the tier 1 tower, which is very, very low, looking for an opportunity to subjugate. Cheeto is level 5. That Steel Shield Slam is online. Devastating, and there it is. Shadow gets hit by it, into the Bull Rush, Tower Shot, as well as the Sticky Bomb. And that's going to be the death of the Decker player. Yo and Mikey seems to be the next target. I don't know if there's a boulder online. Nevos is fairly low on mana. The zoning tool of those snare mines are going to force them back. And here comes Restrous, looking for a tether, looking for an engagement, as well as Blood Mortius. So Blood Mortius, yeah, was sitting there waiting for an opportunity. But the opportunity is actually going to go into the hands of Organized Confusion. They're going to get that kill, and they're going to get back 2-3 of them and spend those points, get themselves lots of mana. They have to make sure they don't abandon their tier 1 tower because there is 3 people pushing it down with the Howitzer with ultimate up. And they might be able to just pick this up as Organized Confusion, just sort of leave it alone, and it's going to go down.
They are going to pick the tier 1 tower pretty uncontested there. Shane, my Dropbox is full.
Oh, yeah?
That's on. Yeah, it just popped up on my screen there. I thought I'd let everybody know.
Thanks, man.
Anybody who's curious.
You know we haven't seen in a while? No, I'm kidding.
Towers do damage. They are going to pick up that tier 1 tower pretty much uncontested. I apologize for the BM. We're just having fun, guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves. They are going to pick up a tier 1 tower uncontested. If we take a look right now at the map control. So, Shane,
hello.
Looking at the drafts.
Let's do it.
The drafts. Organized Confusion, I think, has a stronger mid to late game draft than Carbon EU does.
I mean, how about that?
Cash me outside. I want to see these guys combo their abilities like we saw in the first game. Proficiency into a Cheeto with Hurricane. They're looking at comboing the Tesla Dome into a Shield Slam, into a Reversal of Fortune. We saw them do that yesterday and pick up 2 or 3 kills at a time when they were comboing it perfectly. I want to see that again. We haven't seen that quite yet.
Oh, Nebos. Oh, beautiful knockup mine by Yo and Mikey. That was very well coordinated. But guess what? Rampage Steel, Long Arm of the Law, Reversal of Fortune as well. All the R buttons were smashed. Sign that executive order and send it off because it's now law. That's Yo and Mikey getting taken out right there, and the push continues. Boulder's not going to land. Blood Mortius is in a lot of trouble here. He's going to have to get himself out. The Miro Bubble taking him down even further. All the meanwhile, Undead Pilot is on the opposite side of the map, pushing, farming, trying to do what he can, but ultimately, if he doesn't show up to this fight, it might not work out for him. And mid lane tower under duress. 1 siege tower, but the double stasis bomb. The tether doesn't hit. It hits Nebos, but it doesn't hit the target they were looking for. Nebos does not have the ultimate. A boulder to the face. Rustrous very, very low. The Tesla Dome takes him down, and Rustrous goes down. Beautifully done. I'm sorry, it wasn't Honor the Pure. It was a shield coming out from Proficiency. That was so very close right there, Nacho. You might want to get a recount on that, how close that was. And the push continues. Nebos ultimate back online. And I'm sorry, not all. Oh, it was his backing. I heard the roar from Rampage. I thought his ultimate was back online. It actually was just him yelling for backing. So they get 2 kills. They pick up a tier 1 tower. Double purple just spawned as well. So they continue to gain momentum and gain control of this match.
So exchange a tier 1 for tier 1. They come back and said, you took ours. We're going to take you. I was going to say arsenic. Not arsenic. Hurricane, it really hasn't been much of a factor in these engagements because Undead Pilot has just been pushing the lane, keeping the lane pushed, continuing to farm that up, and Hurricane has been stuck to setting those lanes. But we get the rotation over there. We see the strength of that Tesla Dome. Undead Pilot is setting up, posturing around the Raptors here. We're about 14 minutes into the game. There are wards there, but Undead Pilot, he wants these. Shield Slam's going to go down on Undead Pilot, followed up by the Long Arm of the Wall. There's the Bull Rush. Undead Pilot's in trouble, Shane. If they can land his boulder.
Nebos going ahead and shooting up some HGH to get his gains on a sidewalk cracker. The one they talk about in the back alleys is Nebos' Rampage, and that's why we see him right there, ladies and gentlemen. It's still his set. 14 minutes in. This is when you talk about the timing with the Raptors, Notch. That's exactly what's going to be happening. No ultimate on the Rampage, so this may be a moment for them to engage despite the fact that they're down their carry. But right now, I think the zoning is too good. They're able to pick up 1 Raptor. They're going to fall out and be happy that they're able to get not only that kill, but more importantly, that Raptor card experience level over to their carry of Survivor's Murdoch.
Yes, which he needs that. He's only picked up the 1 Raptor, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it's 1,000 card power. It's a full level. Oh, what did I just broke something, Shane. Wait, we're back. I'm back in the game.
You all right?
I paused it. I unpaused it. I think we're good. 1446, 47. Am I close to you?
You're we're at 1452.
Perfect. Good. We're right on time.
54,
Hurricane's going to get caught out here.
He is. Blood Mortis has the green buff as well. Reversal of Fortune providing Hurricane his own little green buff as well, but standing in that Tesla Dome is going to force them to back. Are they thinking about a re-engagement? Oh, you better believe it. Here comes the Make It Rain from Yo and Mikey up in the sky. The R2000 rocket goes down as well, and that's a devastating amount of damage on a gadget. Blood Mortis is going to get out of there. So well done. A good invasion into the jungle, and that's going to put Carbon EU back on the map there. They've been down kills 8-4 here at the 15.5-minute mark. Taking a look at the farm, though, Notch. Take a look at the discrepancies between the CS between these two teams.
309 to 206. Carbon EU doing a much better job. You know, we were asking beginning, how does Carbon EU deal with such a strong front line? How do they deal with the strength of this CC? And we're seeing them actually doing it pretty effectively.
Oh, Survivor, the shield slam. They got the tower, but they didn't see the flank from Survivor. Almost imitating the action of Imsko the Punisher. He walks up to Undead Pilot, shoots him with the buckshot, a couple auto attacks with the shield slam on top. And they get the kill over onto Undead Pilot. They still were able to pick up the Tier 1 tower there, Notch, but they continue to just take down Undead Pilot time and time again. He hits 0-3-0. He has 86 CS. He's at 22 card pounds, so he at points. He actually does have an economical lead over Survivor, but I think right now the impact from Survivor on the field has gotten much, much more than from his counterpart of Undead Pilot on Twin Blast.
Yeah, we're seeing... one, Raptors help with that to keep Undead Pilot in the lead over Survivor. But Survivor's going to be able to free farm this, give him that card power, put him in the lead is what we're going to see. But Blood Mortius and Carbon EU, they're doing actually a really good job dealing with the CC heavy team comp of Organized Confusion. They're looking for picks. They're not waiting for these 5v5 engagements. I think that's where they lose these matches, is in a full 5-on-5. They're looking for picks. Survivor rotating around, picking up the kill on the Undead Pilot, almost picking up the kill on Shadon, which actually, he may have not got that kill, but it pushes Shadon out of lane. He has to back. He has to regen health and mana, which takes like 10 seconds. So he's out of the fight for a while, and they're continuing to look for picks. But we are seeing aggression onto Blood Mortius here. He is going to get out of there, so they're not going to pick up the kill, but are they going to try and contest these Raptors?
Subjugate off the mark, but still pushing back Organized Confusion nonetheless. Relatively low cooldown, so they might think twice about going back in. Not going to be the case. They're going to get the hell out of there and fall back to their respective lanes. Undead Pilot, there's that build we were talking about, the quad micro nuke, each with 2 powers.
Boulder
and a
lands on
minor
Shadon in mid lane here. Shadon.
Proficiency is there. Speed gate is there to maybe give him a little bit of a gap closer. Not going to be the case. But going back to Undead Pilot, look at this map control being pushed on the map right here. Undead Pilot on the right and Rustress on the left. If a team fight goes down right now, they could lose just both of their inhibitors, and this is forcing the rotation. This was the weakness of Organized Confusion when we saw them against Carbon and A.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Oxygen and A, rather.
Oxygen and A.
Carbon EU clearly showing, clearly watched those replays not only because of that Countess ban in the draft, but are really exploiting the biggest weakness of this team, and that is wave control, map control. And they're doing a great, great job thus far. They're down in kills, but because they understand the dynamic of waves a little bit more, setting them, pushing them, dictating the flow of the match, this match is pretty much all but even on the economical front, especially between the two carries. And now the Raptors are being picked up right here. They should be able to get all 3. Organized Confusion know about it, but there's nothing they're going to be able to do.
And did Undead Pilot get all 3 of those? I believe he did. You mentioned it, and this is what cost them the game yesterday. Organized Confusion is lack of minion management. The waves were constantly being pushed into them. Oxygen made sure that they were setting the lanes every time an engagement happened, and we saw this wacky strat, the Kalari Countess Murdoch gameplay, where they were picking a target, blowing that target up, but they weren't able to get anything off of it, because they had to back and pick up lanes. And we're seeing the exact same thing right now. They may take an engagement, they may pick up a kill or 2, but they have to back off and set up these lanes. We are going to see a 2v1 versus proficiency over
here. Tether lands. Is there a reversal of fortune? She needs to get it off. Barely able to get away. She's going to get the hell of dodge and actually show up to a team fight right at the same time. Yo and Mikey throwing down the missiles. Orb's going to go through there and actually is going to pick up a kill right there. I believe it actually might have got the kill. And all the meanwhile, Nebulous in the front line. Survivor picks off Howitzer as well. So the two-man rotation onto Muriel turned around very, very quickly. Not only did Muriel get away, but also showed up to a team fight where she was sorely needed. Two more kills. Going over to Organized Confusion and taking a look at the minimap, their waves are pushing. This is a great moment for them. They have the wave control, they have the map control, they have the 5v3 power play, and this tier 2 tower, as long as they play this right, Notch, I think they should be able to pick this up and take away those jump pads.
They've got Undead, I mean, possibly there's a lot of damage that's coming out of Undead Pilot because of this build with the crit.
Hurricane is in trouble. There's the shields from Muriel. Maybe a speed boost on top of it. Speed Gate providing the speed boost that we need. And the pursuit continues. Bloodmore is going to try to get that kill. Does Nebos have a boulder? There is the Seek and Destroy to provide the distance that Gadget needs. All the meanwhile, Undead Pilot looking like he's trying to chase down and maybe get a kill, but runs into a Murdoch trap. Uh-oh, that could be bad, but nope. He's going to be okay. Rustress looking for a tether. Subjugate is there as well. Bloodmore is too low to go in. Nebos is under a lot of duress. He is going to one more chop, one more int. Is Nebos going to be able to get away? Does he have a leap? Does he have anything? No! He's going to get cut down by Rustress right there. Two go down, but left lane and right lane all the meanwhile we're pushing, but a timely response from Carver to you. They're going to retain their tier 2 towers despite being at a disadvantage. Very well played.
Yeah, the value out of that Fury of the Heavens, he got 2 of them. He landed both of them in the tether, landed the ult on 2, was able to pick up the kill onto proficiency, chased down Nebos, and was able to pick that kill up as well. So good defense coming out of Carbon EU. I think we just saw the power of Undead Pilot's build. Some people would say 3 Madstone gems is kind of the norm when we see these Marauders. But that extra crit, that 32% crit chance that he's sitting at, and the damage he's getting out of that, he was chunking through steel. And then he was able to deal quite a bit of damage to Hurricane. And he just picked up, his team just picked up the Orb Prime as well. They have the economical advantage. They have the power of the Prime cards now activated.
Which ones do they got, Notch?
We've got 3 Centurions for Blood Mortius, Rusterus, and Shadon, and then Archmages on both of Yo and Mikey and Undead Pilot to push those towers. And the reason they picked that up is to push those towers, because towers will melt with Orb Primes activated. So they've had much better team engagements as well. Yes, we saw them just lose a team fight, but that's the first one we've really seen them lose. For the most part, they're able to rotate back in and pick up some kills. So set these lanes, and then you mentioned it earlier, we're used to seeing people grouping up and taking out a mid tower, but I expect them to group up and take out one of these off lane, safe lane towers and open up the map for them and apply pressure on different sides of the map.
Yeah, it's very intuitive in pub play, guys, to just sort of like, what do we do? I don't know, let's go mid. It just sort of, that's how games break down in an unorganized environment. But an organized environment, getting those side lanes provides much more map control than picking up the mid. It's specifically, I'm speaking about inhibitors here. When you pick off inhibitors, it's still good to get one nonetheless. Don't get me wrong. If you can get that mid inhibitor, push it. But the side lanes provide much more control because it forces further rotations out of your teammate and allows you just a greater amount of time to dictate the flow of the match. And it looks like it is going to be that right lane is where the siege is going to happen. Ultimates online for everyone on both sides. Big ultimates we're looking for here is the containment fence for Carbon EU and the shield slam for Organized Confusion. The tier 2 tower, that's going to fall. That's not the one worth dying for. The inhibitor they got to be looking for. Blood Mortius charged forward, maybe looking for a potential pickoff with the Subjugate. It did land, but instead, more so as a zoning tool. And this is what we're talking about. Great job right here by Proficiency, using that Muriel to try to get as much as they can, squeeze as much efficiency as they can out of that hero, playing her to her strengths with that global presence. This is a very tense moment for both of his teams. This could be the moment that Carbon EU just outright wins the game or causes a crippling blow. We'll see how it goes, Notch. Patience on both sides.
Do you think... I'll ask after this.
Into the charge, Blood Mortius. Stunned up Bishop on the 2-man. Shield slam as well as the long arm of the law. That's huge. Undead Pilot down. The inhibitor's still alive. Nebos has had to get out of there, and they're continuing to engage. Containment fence is used defensively. This is not ideal for Carbon EU. Proficiency, he has a boost. Ruster's just trying to chop him down. Is there peel? 2-man Subjugate. The boulder's going to miss as well. Akito's very, very low. Even if he goes down, though, his job is done. But they still can't catch him. Blood Mortius low. Tank. The tower's being tanked by Yo and Mikey, so Blood Mortius is able to get away. The inhibitor is going to fall. Rustress, they were actually overextended a little bit. Is Organized Confusion. The inhibitor does fall, but if they can take a decisive team fight, then they might be able to clean up here. Rustress gets taken out. A 2-for-2 exchange. Carbon EU are going to be okay with that. That team fight looks so good for Organized Confusion right there, Notch. That was a great moment for Organized Confusion to take a team fight, but I think the focus fire broke down. They abandoned the inhibitor to chase kills and opened up the opportunity for Rustress to go in there, get the inhibitor, and essentially make that an even exchange in terms of kills. But with that inhibitor gone down, Carbon EU are in a great place right now.
Survivor was way out of position with that engagement. But I wanted to ask you a question because Hurricane used his Tesla Dome to save the tier 2 tower. Why did he not save it for the inhibitor? They had great follow-up. A Cheeto with the shield slam, proficiency with the ult, but Hurricane did not have his ultimate online.
Ooh,
he was
that's
trying
brutal.
to clear the minion wave. I think if he would have had his ultimate online, I think it was a misplay, a huge misplay.
I agree.
It could have changed the flow of that fight. Instead of it being a 2-for-2, it could have been a 2-for-5, and it given them the ability to push down the left tower, which was being pushed in by minions. Big misplay by Survivor and Hurricane there. Survivor being out of position, getting picked off early. Hurricane using that ult too early. That being said, they did a much better job defending that. If they would have lost any more people, they could have lost the game. They did a good job defending it. Yes, the tower did fall, but enough people survived, and they dealt enough damage to Carbon EU that they had to back off, and they didn't take the game.
Undead Pilots just got caught out, but Blood Mortius is here to protect his buddy. Colossal Blow immediately. Subjugate is going to land. They're trying to burst him down. Reversal of Fortune might give him enough time to pop the ultimate. It is not the case. Too much damage. Shield Slam onto Blood Mortius. Tesla Dome, long arm of the law. That's what we were expecting right there. 2-for-1 so far. The Sevarog on the Decker. There is no containment finish, which Yo and Mikey is not going to have that restriction to get the full value out of his ultimate in any team fight anytime soon. Continuing to pursue his Organized Confusion. Not going to be able to catch anyone out. But just like that, they leave their base. They strike back quickly at the Raptors, and this should be Survivor picking up 2 nice, healthy card points. But no, Rustress has something to say about that. He goes in almost completely by himself here. Actually, Yo and Mikey came around, as well as Undead Pilot. Beautifully played right there. The Make-It Rain is going to go down. No mana on the Howitzer. His job is done, and they pick up the kill onto Survivor. That reinitiation from Carbon EU, beautifully done. They get the kill onto the carry, and that was just, I thought Organized Confusion were just going to casually walk over the Raptors and get some card experience. Not the case at all.
Yeah, not the case. I like the flank from UI Mikey coming through. He actually jumped a little crack here. What this does for them is allows Undead Pilot to pick up
a little crack goes a long way.
Yet again. A little crack does go a long way. Undead Pilot picks up the Raptors yet again. Oh, stolen by Muriel. Proficiency says, no, that second Raptor's mine. But it opened that up, allowed Undead Pilot to pick up the Raptors again, which has basically kept him in the lead above Survivor the entire time. 3-4-1 on Undead Pilot, 42 card power. He still has 3 of his micro nukes online. He's building into an impact hammer. He has his Blade of Agora, so that extra crit bonus.
Oh, Nebos.
Well,
he's got to get the hell out of there. Thankfully, he had his ultimate online. Back to you, Notch.
So if we have time to look at these builds, they're still chasing Nebos. They want him. Look at Nebos.
There's no ultimate. There's no ultimate for maybe 5 more seconds before it comes back up. He is going to be able to get away right there.
If that would have landed, he would have died, but Subjugate misses there. Good heads-up play. So looking at these builds, I don't see a purity sensor online for the side of Carbon EU, and I was expecting that. They do have their double Honor the Pures. We see a Bane Flesh to deal with the regen of Nebos.
Yep.
Blood-Soaked Armor is going to attack that bleed when Rustress is in the front of that fight, so deal out just extra damage every time they shoot him. So the builds overall, Shane, these are builds we've seen in the past. Crit, attack speed, lifesteal.
Yep.
And then you have the survivability of Rustress with those Honor the Pures, the Blood-Soaked Armor because of that activatable ability, Bane Flesh to deal with Rampage. Lots of damage coming out of Hurricane and Survivor with, of course, 3 Madstone Gems into an Impact Hammer. We'll start to see crit bonus and lifesteal coming up next for Survivor. But I want to see another play here. Orb Prime is going to be spawning in about 20 seconds, I believe. 40 seconds.
Close to that, yeah.
Orb Prime spawn. Another play for the Orb Prime. And I think whoever picks up the next Orb Prime or really gets the next team fight here, it could be GG.
Nebos goes into a fight. He uses the ultimate, misses the boulder. Not much mana. Maybe not even enough to get a secondary boulder off. Cheeto is using Bull Rush defensively to get himself out of a bad position, was taking quite a bit of damage here. The support steal, if he gets, he can get taken out so quickly now that the Undead Pilot his damage and his crits online, he has to play very, very carefully. He can go down by the time he even get his ult off. As we saw right there, in about, I don't know, a quarter to half a second, he was at full, then all of a sudden he's at half there. He does have the Honor of the Peer, and he does have a little bit of supplemental health, but that's one of the weaknesses of support Steel, is if you're able to blow him up very, very early, you can use a Subjugate, a Stasis Bomb, a Knock-Up Mine, a Tether, any different means that they have, you can just get rid of that Steel and take him out of the equation. Orb Prime is being taken by 3 right now. Yoi, Mikey, and Shadon are doing their best to zone out for it, but Organized Confusion knows what's going on, and they're going to try to contend it. It's down to about 10%. A couple more instances of damage. Kido's looking for it. Containment Fence used defensively to zone them out. That's a big, big price to pay for the Orb Prime. If I'm Organized Confusion, I'm thinking about re-engaging here. Not going to be the case. They're going to disengage to try to make a stand elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, I actually like that containment fence. He landed it on 4.
It pretty much secured on the Orb Prime, yeah.
It secured the Orb Prime. They had to commit to the Orb Prime at that time. As low as that Orb Prime was, and as close as Organized Confusion was, if Rustress, Undead Pilot, and Mikey backed off, that's a free Orb Prime for Organized Confusion. They just collapse on it. They blow it up quickly because there's 5 there. Or 4 there. They're able to pick that up. So I like the play. We're going to see a Carbon EU back up, purchase, spend that card power that they've gained, set their lanes, and then make another slow push, probably on the opposite side of the map because they do have an inhibitor down. Or do they just go for the throat? Do they look for that team fight and with the strength of Orb Prime and try to take this match?
That's exactly what I said. What I was just about to ask you, Notch. Is this a go for the throat moment? Are they going to imitate their best gray main? Heyo! Looking at the builds right now, Stasis Gem picked up here by Hurricane. The more I experiment with Stasis Gem, the more I start to think that it has a true place right now with how strong CC is, especially when you're up against the composition of Sevarog and Kwong, the CC coming out from Howitzer, so on and so forth. So I really like this Stasis Gem picked up. The first time we ever saw it was solo Nazgul. I believe it was on Bellica. He had Bellica, and yeah, we were making fun of him, and then he went and pulled out a huge play that ultimately not only won him a game, not only won him the series, but won them the first Paragon Competitive League because of the Stasis Gem. So we'll see the utility and the usage getting out of that from the Hurricane. Left inhibitor being under siege here. This is what I like to see. It's conquer and divide. Right lane's going to be pushing from that previous inhibitor. Oh, they almost were able to blink out of it, but it's not going to be the case. Honor of the Pure is there for Undead Pilot. Make It Rain's going down. Rustress in a lot of trouble. Needs to get blown up. Beebos didn't have that regen because of that main flesh. And Rustress is able to get the hell out of there. Subjugate onto Achido. The double tether right there. The Stasis Gem has been used, but Akido's going to be the target instead. Containment Fence. Oh, the Containment Fence! Blinking into a wall is not what you want to do. And they cash him outside right there. Notch 3 right down here for Organized Confusion. Only 1 down. They were able to pick up Undead Pilot, but with 3 down, only a Muriel and a out-of-mana gadget with no Stasis Gem to be seen. Yoi Mikey's damage is enough to take down this core. They're going to push themselves forward with the Orb Prime. They should be able to take game number 1, barring some miraculous defense. No miracles today. And that's going to be game number 1, going over to Carbon EU.
Shane, did you exit the replay yet?
Nope.
Okay.
Let's go back
up to that engagement to the inhibitor.
Let me get to it.
I'll give you the time here.
What's the time, my man?
Okay, so Tesla Dome is down. Where is Yoi Mikey? Mikey's rotating. Watch Yoi Mikey here. I'm at 3140. I'm at 3140 right now.
Game time or replay time?
Game time. So 3420 for the replay time.
Boosh.
Okay, watch Yoi Mikey here. Go ahead and hit play.
That's not how that works. You said you're at 3420 replay time?
On the bar on the bottom, it's 3420.
That's literally the end of the game. That's literally the end of the game.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stupid. 3142 is the game time. Is what I'm at. 3142 game time.
All right, we're gonna take a look at Hurricane.
So watch.
They're by the Orb Prime. They're by Orb Prime. Is that what we're looking at?
At 3142 game time.
No, replay time. This isn't that hard.
They should 3142 game time. They should be right by the inhibitor.
Nope. Let's talk about this later. This is impromptu when we're not set up for it. Notch. So
I wanted
the state of that game right there
was
what cost Organized Confusion that game?
The one they fought outside of the inhibitor, which was a very, very silly decision. Fighting outside of the strength of the inhibitor. They dove out. Hurricane placed a containment fence onto Undead Pilot way in the background, which when they went in on this, UI Mikey's in a position here to where he's waiting for somebody to come out. So we see Hurricane place a very a shield slam onto 2, Hurricane on top of that. UI Mikey's just free casting. He drops down his Make It Rain to try and zone, and UI Mikey zones everybody out, and they just went away from the safety of this tower, and Orb Prime being activated cost them that game. If they would have fought under that tower, I think they would have been able to turn the fight in their favor. But they're fighting at the tier 2 tower right now, is where they're fighting 32 minutes into the game instead of fighting underneath that inhibitor. Power of the Orb Prime, poor placement, poor positioning from the team is what cost them that match. What I was going to show you was Yoai Mikey comes in, and Rustress is very low. He's sitting at about 100 health. Yoai Mikey lands a perfect R2000 to keep him alive. Rustress survives that fight, lands a tether onto 2, and then he lands his ultimate Fury of the Heavens and takes out 2 people, again, outside of that protection of that inhibitor. They are fighting on the tier 2 tower, which makes very little sense when you have the protection of that inhibitor. That's what cost them that game. But the farm, the lack of minion management on the side of Organized Confusion in this particular game was also another reason. There was always an engagement that took place, and even if they won the engagement, they had to back off to protect their towers. Much better minion management coming out of Carbon, much better team fight coming out of Carbon, and the fact that they dealt with that heavy CC the way they did by positioning was really good play coming out of Carbon.
Well, there you have it. Not to take away from Organized Confusion again, this is a new roster. We're not familiar with them. I'm thoroughly impressed and so joyed and happy to see that game was as close as it was. They definitely have they're a little rough around the edges, but let's see if they can sand that off, refine a little bit, go into game number 2, bring this to the Dream, game number 3, and keep themselves in the contention for putting themselves into the finals of Paragon Competitive League number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for the continuing support. We're going to take a small break, get ourselves into game number 2, get in the draft, and we'll see you guys there. We'll be back in just a moment.
Ow.
We can hear you, and they can hear me. Hey, chat.
I didn't mute myself. My bad.